Hi everyone, I'm Richard Vince, and today I'm here on my own to talk to you a little bit about bullying and anti-bullying and avoiding bullying and just really the subject of bullying. So it would be lovely to think that some of us could go all the way through our lives and it never be an issue for us. But unfortunately, I just don't think that's very likely. We will all have to deal with this at some point in some way, and whether it's ourselves, our friends, children, other family members. And I always think that it's better to be equipped, better to have some strategies in place to help you recognise what may be about to happen or has happened, and then you can take some action to do something about it. So I've written down 9 points. I'm going to go through each of them with you. It's going to be really brief, really quick. I want it to be really super useful. I'm going to give you the situation or the explanation of the particular instance or occurrence, and then I'm going to give you some action that you can take, because I think it's all very well saying this may happen and this may happen, but unless I give you some strategy to go with it, then there isn't much use to this little video. So we're going to start off with the very first thing here. If any of this is going to work, any of it at all, then you have to take responsibility for making it work. I think that we lose an awful lot of power and make ourselves much more likely to become victims if we give away our power, if we give away responsibility for taking action to somebody else. So the very first thing that I want you to do is to say to yourself, yep, okay, I've recognised this, or I've noticed this, or I've realised that I want to put this in place for the future, and I will take care of this myself and make sure that I have it in place. The piece of action, the action that I need you to take on this first issue is that you will do something about it if the situation ever occurs when somebody's trying to bully or intimidate you. And it may just start off as very, very mild intimidation where they're trying to manipulate you a little bit. But you still have to decide, am I going to accept it? Is it okay? Is it sort of on an acceptable level? Or do I have to do something about it right now? But you have to make that decision. So that's the first thing. Okay, point number 2. You need to learn to recognise if somebody is trying to manipulate you, somebody's trying to intimidate you, somebody's trying to make you do things that you're not happy with, you're not comfortable with. It could be subtle, it could be people just gently trying to maneuver you into a position where you think, well, actually, I don't like that. I'm not really comfortable with that. That's one end of the scale. But of course, the other end of the scale is the out and out, do this, do that, and maybe someone's being really physical with you, and maybe they're not even asking you or telling you to do something, they're just being hurtful and spiteful to you. Right? So there's a huge range of ways that somebody can bully or intimidate you, and the action that I want you to take is to pay attention to this. In your life at the moment, are there things that you would rather not do because of the people who will be there? Are there places you'd rather not go because of the people? Are there people you'd rather not be alone with? You have to say to yourself, well, if you're going to make a difference, you need to say to yourself, right, this is the situation. I have recognised it. I've realised that this is not something I would prefer, and I'm going to take action on it. Right? So it's a point number 2, and it's the one that comes after you agreeing that it's your responsibility. Now you've got to identify a situation and say, yes, okay, that's what needs the action. Let's go on to point number 3. Point number 3 is about you paying attention to the way you communicate with people. How do you stand? How do you sit? How do you speak? What's your posture like? How are things for you when you're in communication with other people? Now realize, also understand that communication is not just speech. Speech is quite a small part of the communication we have. It's about your body language, your posture, and lots of other things. So I want you to practice showing confidence in your speech, confidence in your posture, stand up straight, make eye contact, speak without hesitation. And the best way to do this, practice. Get in front of the mirror. Imagine somebody's there with you, somebody's asking you a question, or maybe they're not asking you a question, maybe it's a non-verbal communication. Practice doing your best and appearing confident. If you can do this, this will reduce the number of times that you get interviewed as a victim, right? So I'm coming on to being interviewed in a moment. Point number 4 is that there will always be an interview. So what do I mean by that? You're not going to turn up with an appointment, sit down behind a desk and answer a lot of questions. That's not the type of interview I mean. The type of interview I mean is this bully is going to test you out and see how you respond to their checking out tactics, their sampling tactics. They're going to poke and prod and see how you respond at the very first point, to see whether they think you're going to be a good victim. Right, then, guess what? Your job is to completely mess up the interview, to make sure that you are not going to get the job of victim. And obviously the point before messing up the job, messing up the interview if you like, is to mess up or recognise that the interview is taking place. Because there's not going to be a formal thing. No one's going to come over and sit you down and say, right, come on, I need to interview you for a position of victim. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be some sort of interaction where someone tests you, someone tries their power out on you, and your job is to absolutely completely dismiss that and to explain to people, no, not me. All right, so let me give you an example. Oh, just go and get my so-and-so for me, would you? I'm sorry, I'm busy. I've got important things that I need to do. That just go and get something for me could be the very first stages of somebody trying to assert their control over you. I know, maybe it's an overreaction. Maybe you say, no, I'm busy with something. Maybe that's an overreaction. And okay, sometimes you may have an overreaction, but that's okay. That's much better than allowing yourself to be pushed into a position of a victim after a little while. Yeah, so be aware of the interview, pay attention, have it in your mind. Anytime something triggers an alarm bell, or pay attention for alarm bells, anytime something triggers one of those alarm bells, just think to yourself, all right, is this person checking me out for the role of victim? The scary thing is, of course, sometimes bullies won't even know they're doing it. They won't even know they're checking you out. It's a completely subconscious thing. They've done it to lots of people over their lifetime, and it just happens one after the other, after the other, after the other. They don't think about it, it just happens. All right, now you don't need to worry about what's happened in the past, what's going to happen in the future. What you need to do is worry about what's happening now to you. And you need to make sure you're not going to get that job. The interview is going to be a failure. So point number 5. If I were you, I would practice having some ways to fail interviews. Yeah, and you may think, oh, this is a bit negative. Well, possibly, but it's a good strategy to have in place. Good ways to fail interviews. Hold on, stop. Just wait a moment. Can you just think about what you said to me for a moment? Or if it's a physical thing, if somebody brushes past you and then pushes you to one side in a careless way, just say, excuse me, let's have some manners here. I don't want you to be confrontational, I don't want you to get yourself into trouble, but I want you to make sure that you don't allow people to take advantage of you and open that chink in the armour and say, actually, I just pushed them aside, they didn't even notice, they didn't even respond. I'll see what happens next time, I'll go a bit further. But be polite, don't cause problems, don't blow the thing out of all proportion, but just make sure you establish you're not going to be pushed around. Yeah? So, and you need to practice these things. You need to have them all in stock so that, these little loops are running in your head and you can just say, well, hold on, buddy. Yeah, excuse me a moment. And I think this is a really, really useful gesture. You know, if I was standing up, I wouldn't have my elbows on the table. Obviously, I'd just be, whoa, hold on. Because this is completely passive. My hands are open. They're facing my adversary, potential adversary, whatever it is. And you're saying, well, hold on, buddy. This is not happening here. This is not going to happen to me. And it's non-threatening. Nobody could say, oh, he threatened me. You know, I hit him because he threatened me. You know, that isn't a threat, is it? Something else you can do, of course, if there's space and if it's convenient, simply walk away. You know, if something unpleasant happens and you don't want to be in that mix anymore, you don't want to be part of what's going on, and I appreciate it's not always convenient to do this, but you can just think to yourself, I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with this. I'm not going to have to put up with this. Right? And it's not running away. I don't want you to run away. I don't want you to think of it like that. I want you to walk away from a situation that you're not enjoying. Yeah, but walk away with your head held high. Walk away with confidence. Don't slink away and be worried and have an air of concern about you that something may happen because you've walked away. You know, turn, walk away, don't run, don't rush. Just remove yourself from the situation. It's an amazingly resourceful tactic, that one. Number 6. Our brains, our minds don't like space. They don't like emptiness. They don't like a void. They don't like having to deal with not having something that they used to have. So if you are in a situation where unpleasant things are happening to you, or people are treating you badly, just stopping those things is much more difficult than replacing them with something else. Because just stopping them will leave a space. Will leave a space in your in your schedule, in your thoughts and whatever. You know, at the time when those things were happening, they're no longer happening, and you'll be like, right? So find something to replace them with. Now, I'm a lifetime martial artist, so my first thing would always be, yeah, do martial arts. Karate's fantastic, kickboxing, Muay Thai, all of those things fantastic. But so are lots of other things. You know, again, I'm a big contact sports fan, so rugby would be something that I would love. So it's something I like to do. But it doesn't have to be a contact sport. One of the good things about contact sports is it gets you used to contact, as the name suggests. So that's always good. But it doesn't have to be a contact sport. Find something to do that's going to make you smile, make you look forward to doing it, and that's going to have a really positive effect on your demeanour, on the way you think of yourself. Point number 7. There are no rules about what's acceptable and what's not. There are some laws. People can't break laws, right? But a law could be very different to what you find acceptable. You know, the law might say somebody can't cause somebody else physical harm. Okay, that's good. I agree with that. But you may want to stop something that's happening a long while before it becomes physical harm. Right? So you have to decide what you will accept. And I would advise doing this in advance. You know, you may think to yourself, I might accept somebody being, casually unkind to me. You know, like I say something and say, oh, you nit, you silly nit, you know, or oh dear. Like this, that may be acceptable to you. It may be unacceptable if they say, God, idiot. You know, and there's a big difference between those two things, isn't there? Work out what's acceptable to you, and then work out what's unacceptable, and say to yourself, I will make a stand at the point where things are unacceptable. I can warn you about this. People will have different thresholds about what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And if somebody said to me, God, you idiot, I would say, don't call me an idiot. That's something that I don't like, and I don't want you to do it. You know, I don't want to be part of this conversation if you're going to refer to me as an idiot. They may then turn around and say, oh, I'm really sorry, it's just something I use all the time. Just a word I use all the time. To which I'd say, cool, I understand your explanation, but I will remind you if you ever use that word to me again, because I don't like it. Then they have a choice, don't they? They can either stop using it when they're with me, or carry on using it and I won't interact with them. And those are the things, simple things like that, they're things that set your boundaries. Once you have boundaries that are set, you'll be much happier because you won't have to worry and think, oh, is that okay or not? Should I let that happen or not? Oh, I don't know. And worry is a dreadful thing. Decide and then put your plans in place, put your limitations in place. And remember, never be rude, never be unkind, never be unkind, never be horrible to somebody, but be firm, be sure about what you want. Let everyone know that was unacceptable to you. Okay, point number 8. My father used to say to me, if you and somebody else disagree, it could be you or it could be the other person. If you and 2 people disagree, there's twice as much chance that you're wrong. Does that make sense? And then he would say, if there are 3 or more people that I disagree with, it's me. I'm the problem. I'm the one that's causing the disagreement. Now I accept it's not always as clear cut as that. But point number 8 is this. If you are being, bullied, intimidated, pushed around by lots of people, I would suggest you might want to take a look at yourself. Because maybe you're doing something that isn't particularly nice, isn't particularly kind. Maybe you're interacting in a way that doesn't allow those people to feel good about themselves, or they feel intimidated, or they think you're being unkind. You know, if it's happening to where more than a couple of people are unkind to you, you really should take a bit of a look at yourself. The number of times I've had people say to me, and I mean over the years, I've been teaching martial arts for 40 plus years, and over that time I had lots of people say to me things like, oh, I'm being bullied. Occasionally I've had people saying, everyone picks on me. And I said, well, if everyone picks on you, you're the problem. You know, if everyone doesn't like you, then really you should take a look at what you're doing. And, you know, some people have said, oh, that's a bit unkind. But it's the kindest thing I can say to you, really, because it's the thing that will help you to stop this thing happening. Last point for today, there will always be victims, there will always be bullies, and there are always people to take on those roles. Your job, this is the advice I'm giving you, your job is to not concern yourself about whose fault it is, who's to blame, who's right, who's wrong. Don't concern yourself with any of those things. All you need to concern yourself with is putting a stop to the situation now. Or no, that's not even true. Let me rephrase that. You don't even need to stop the situation. You need to remove yourself from the situation. So walking away might be an easy solution. If walking away isn't possible, then you need to do something to not let that drama continue. Because that's all it is. It's drama. Somebody else is creating drama. You do not have to be part of it. For bullying to happen, you need a bully, you need a victim, and you need a place for it to happen. So, assuming there's somebody willing to take the role of bully, then there needs to be a place and a willing victim. Well, don't be the willing victim. And if it's possible to avoid the place, avoid it. I know that isn't always possible, but you can always refuse to be the victim. Okay, so that sums up what I want to talk to you about today. I hope it's been useful. I look forward to seeing you next time.